Oh yeah, it says 2011 right there, duh. Okay, I can read, guys, don't worry. Hey there, Disney Leung fam, it is Beth and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video. I feel like I have been talking about this video for the past month now, and I have had so much fun putting this together. Today I am going to be showing you my January pin board. So New Year's, and especially New Year's in Japan, is one of my main pin collections. So today you're gonna get to see a really nice chunk of my collection. And yeah, I just love everything about New Year. I like the idea of like cleaning up loose ends from the previous year, moving in and starting the next year on like the best foot possible. So Japanese New Year, unlike Chinese New Year, is still celebrated like aligned with the Western calendar. So it is still celebrated on the 1st of January, and it is the most important holiday in Japan. Everyone gets off work for a few days. Most people go home, they go visit family, they visit their ancestor graves, they clean, they do a whole bunch of stuff, and I just love this time of year. One thing I think you will notice when you see the board is that much like red and green are our Christmas colors here in the US, red and white are celebratory colors in Japan. So this pin board definitely has a lot of red and white. I thought it was definitely fitting to also wear my red New Year's Minnie Mouse shirt. So of course I decided to put on some white ears as well to get myself feeling a little festive. There is definitely a lot to get into, so let me grab the board because it is seriously jam-packed. I tried to fit in as much as possible for you guys on this board. I have even more pins that didn't make the cut and like little things that I wanted to include. So maybe next year. Ready? This thing is heavy and I am a little fearful that it's gonna fall apart because of all the weight on it, but here it is. So like I said, red and white are the colors especially associated with New Year's in Japan. So for the background of this, I decided just to go with white because I felt like it really showcased everything nicely, kept the board nice and clean, and I mean, because there's so much red on the board, it just went along really nicely with it. So yes, this is everything. Not everything in my New Year collection, like I said, but everything that I felt I would put on this board for you guys today. So let's go ahead, flip around, and take a closer look. Okay, so I don't really have too much of a logical, I guess, way for putting this all together. I like tried, but it was hard to fit certain things in certain places. So I might jump around a little bit on the board, but I'm actually gonna start here, which is kind of the top left corner. So obviously the first pin here we have is a jumbo that was recently released by Shop Disney. You can tell that it is current because of course it is now 2019 and it just says Happy New Year on it. So I thought that this would be a great, not really centerpiece because it's not in the center of the board, but it is definitely the theme of this month's pin board. So then around that I have two pins here which are basically kind of my resolutions for this year. So I'll admit I am not a huge resolution maker because I find that I often don't stick to them that well. But one of the things that I do really want to work on is I want to get back to studying Japanese. As a lot of you know, we are getting ready to move soon. So we have been starting to pack up our apartment already and just kind of like put things into boxes that we know we're not going to be needing for a while. And one of those things were old textbooks, and when I was going through and just like flipping through really quickly some of my Japanese textbooks from college, I could barely even read it. I was like, oh my gosh, how did I used to be able to read this? I used to have business level comprehension. I could have lived and worked in Japan if I had wanted to, and now I feel like a lot of that has been slipping away the longer that I go without using Japanese. So I am definitely going to get back into just studying a little bit every day. I mean, today is now what, like the 10th of January, and I will say, so far I have studied at least for like 30 minutes every day this year. It's not something I plan to have to do every single day this year, but it is something I hope to do like at least once or twice a week. So then my other little resolution, or maybe not so little, this actually encompasses a lot of things. So reduce this year is all about reduction and downsizing for me. We are moving, so we want to get rid of a lot of things that we just don't need anymore. Like, we've been living here for 3 years, so we've accumulated a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff that we just don't need or use. So we definitely want to downsize, live a little more simply, and kind of Marie Kondo, KonMari method everything, because I am all about that. And I also just want to like reduce like resources, like kind of just not spend as much, not use as much. I want to go to the gym more, and I just, yeah. Reduce is definitely one of my biggest resolutions this year. All right, so let me show you the two corners. So over here we have Stitch, and this is a postcard. Postcards are really important for Japanese New Year. They're basically like our Christmas or greeting card. Everyone sends them to their family and friends, and it's basically a well-wishing kind of thing. And I love it. So you've got Stitch there, and he is eating a bunch of little New Year's specialties, and I think it's adorable. And then over in this corner, the postcard here is actually a Daruma Mickey, and then he is on top of a child's game that you play where you actually take a hammer and you have to hit out each individual little block without the top one falling down. And then there's another game over here, which is a kodama, where you have a little ball here and you try to catch it in one of the cups by like swiveling it back and forth. It's attached on a string. Super difficult, old style Japanese games, but really fun. So I just really wanted to include those two postcards just because, like I said, it is a really important thing to kind of kick off the new year. But okay, so over in this section, I have a couple of Omikuji pins. So if you did watch my last video, I do talk about Omikuji a little bit. You can either get them in the form of this little kind of charm talisman. This was our Omikuji from a couple of years ago, and they are blessed and have different purposes. The other kind is actually more of a fortune-telling kind, where you pull something and it'll give you a little card of information. So that's actually what these two pins are. These came from the Japan Disney store a long time ago. They sold out really quickly, and they were kind of like blind bag pins, and then they came with a sealed fortune inside, so you didn't know what you were going to get. These two are my favorites. So we've got Mickey here, and he is holding a little white maneki neko. So if you don't know what a maneki neko is, they're these little cats, and they kind of have their paws go up and down, which is bringing in good fortune to you. So this Mickey just says maneki neko, neko o manekimasu. So it is just saying this fortune is going to bring you luck and happiness for the new year. So I think that's, of course, always a good thing to have. And then I really wanted to track down Minnie as well, and I actually got her from one of my local trade groups really recently, so I was super excited about that. But Minnie has a maneki neko, and that one is yellow. So that actually symbolizes and relates more to marriage. So her little fortune here says, Maneki neko kekkon bi ni ichiban kaimasu. So kekkon is marriage. So this is saying the maneki neko is bringing you the most important thing of happiness in your marriage. So I think that this is great. Obviously, I am married, so definitely always want happiness in our marriage. So I was really glad that I was able to pick up this pair. It is one of my favorite Omikuji pins because you'll see that I do have a couple of other ones, but I see these being sold and traded all the time. It is hard to find them with their original packaging, including these little cards. So I was really glad that I could actually find those. So then next to that, we have one of my all-time favorite pins, and this is a fan. And it's being held up by this little dangle. This is the symbol fuku, which means luck. And it is for New Year, luckiness, of course. And the thing that I love most about this fan is that it actually folds up. It's kind of hard to do it when it's on a board, but it does fully collapse. And it features some of the Fab Five gang plus Chippendale in their traditional Japanese New Year get-ups. And I mean, look at the shine on that. It is very metallic and sparkly. Yeah. Definitely one of my favorite pins. So moving back over here, I have a 4-pin New Year set. I did briefly show that in one of my recent pin mail videos, and I just am so happy that I could pick it up. Again, we've got Mickey and Minnie, Donald, Daisy, and Pluto, and they are all dressed appropriately for New Year's. I stuck it over by this postcard because some of them are also holding some traditional New Year's toys. We've got Donald with the hammer, we've got Pluto with a wooden top. So I love this set, and especially because we have Daisy here. I very rarely see Daisy on any Japanese pins or holiday pins. I do have 2 of them, so you'll see one more. And there's really like not a whole lot of other Daisy pins. She's not that popular in Japan. So sliding you back to this little middle area, because these had the Maneki Nekos on them up here, I actually have a couple of Maneki Neko pins. So this is a fantasy pin of the little green alien, obviously, and he is dressed as a Maneki Neko. And then I have these 2, which were a pair from Tokyo Disneyland. Let's see, it would have had to have been 2011 because that was the last year of the rabbit. So it is Miss Bunny and Thumper, and they are acting, oh yeah, it says 2011 right there, duh. Okay, I can read, guys, don't worry. But yes, they are dressed as little Maneki Neko bunnies because it was year of the rabbit, and they're pastel, and I just love this set so much. Johnny is year of the rabbit, so that's why we also kind of have a couple of rabbit-centric things. Otherwise, I typically don't collect a whole lot that has the year on it, but he's a rabbit, so we thought that it was appropriate. So in the center here, I have this really big button. It says Happy New Year 2012, and they are on Mushu. I love this so much. This is actually the year that I first ever went to Tokyo Disneyland, and I just love this style of button. It's probably really hard to tell, but it's like textured, almost like really thin paper, and it's very matte and metallic. I just think it is so cool because of course you have Mushu because it was Year of the Dragon, and they are just floating over all of Tokyo Disneyland over here. You've got the castle, you have It's a Small World, and then they are also floating by Tokyo Disney Sea. You've got Vesuvius and some of the ports. You've got Donald and Chippendale trying to hang on. Little Darumas floating around. Mushu with the gong. And I just think that this is such a really pretty picture. I love this so much. And I mean, it's from when I went there, so it's just really good memories as well. So over here we have Minnie Mouse. She is dressed up in Japanese traditional clothing and the kind of clothing that you would wear when you go to the shrine. So because Japanese people are pretty religious, I mean religious in like a different sense, it's more about like nature, ancestor worshiping, spirituality, things of that nature. But going to the shrine for the first time of the year is a really big event. It even has its own word. It's called Hatsumode. There is a matching Mickey to this set, but I have yet to grab him. Most of the ones that I've seen actually have removed this little tassel string bit, so I would like to try to find a tacked version, because ropes, again, very important in Japanese culture about binding and spirits and ancestors, so yeah, for now we just have Minnie. And now we've got this section. I have a little origami Minnie Mouse Daruma that I made. It's actually from a stationery set that I picked up, but all of the stationery can be folded. I've got a couple other ones. I've got a Mickey and a Pluto as well. Mickey didn't fit on this board, but you will see Pluto in a little bit. So it just goes along with our little New Year's theme. And then right here we have 2 more Omikuji pins. These are specifically more New Year's related ones, wishing you for good luck. So we've got Mickey and Minnie, and they are in their little boats. And then here we have Minnie and Mickey for this dangle pin. Again, they are dressed up in their traditional clothing, and Mickey has this little puppet and it slides up and down, which is really fun. And then it has this dangle element. It does have a date on it down here that doesn't really mean anything to me, but I feel like the date is so small I actually don't notice it half the time, so I think it's still a pretty cool pin either way. So then here we have a dangle pin. It exactly matches the image on this little button up here where Mickey and Minnie are riding on Mushu. You still even have the Disneyland castle, which is just absolutely amazing to me. And then you have this little Mushu dangle element down at the very bottom. I think this is a really cute pin, so I'm just really glad that I can have the full set, because if you watched my mug collection video that I did over Vlogmas, if not, I'll be linking that above so you can check it out. I also have a mug with this exact image on it as well, so I feel like I just have, yeah, like this little cute complete set, and it's awesome. So I'm gonna skip talking about this one for just a minute. We'll come back to that. Here we have this little Minnie Mouse, and it is in the form of a card. So these are called karuta, which is kind of like the Portuguese word for card, and it is a game with different pictures on them. It'll have a big Japanese character here for like a different word, and it's actually just a card game that you play that tells out a story, and it is really popular to play on New Year's. There is a whole set of this. For now I only have Minnie. Again, it's dated, but I just kind of try to ignore that. And on hers, she has a Hagoita paddle, which we will talk about right now. So moving to this section of my board, I showed you guys these 2 pins recently, and like literally later that day, Kate over at Princess Minnie messaged me because she saw these 3 pins for sale, so she knew that I was looking for them to complete my set. So thank you so much, Kate. I am so glad that I was able to pick those up. So now I have this whole complete set. So a lot of people think that these are fans. These are not fans. They are paddles, and they are Hagoita paddles. So Hagoita is basically like an old-time version of badminton. Instead of a racket, you use paddles, so it's a lot harder. There's not as much bounce. It takes a lot more like force and aim and precision. So that's why at the bottom of all of these, they have a little dangly birdie, because, I mean, it's basically badminton. So there is one for each of the Fab 5, and they are all dressed in their New Year's getup, and I just absolutely love these so much. Again, thank you, Kate, for letting me know that you saw these 3 for sale and that I was able to get them for an insanely cheap price. So I was definitely happy about that. Always happy to watch out for fellow pin collectors for what they're looking for. So then in this bottom corner, we have another one of my little origami Daruma. This one is obviously Pluto, and he is just super cute. And then next to him, we have my other Daisy pin. Again, this one was dated, but I just think her kimono looks really pretty. She's standing there doing some calligraphy, which is another very popular practice in the new year, partially because it's used on all of the greeting cards, and people also just make a lot of signage with well wishes and good fortunes on them. So I think that that pin is really cute. It's super vibrant and colorful, and I love her. All right, so now I'm gonna take you back over to this little section that we skipped. Here we have a pin featuring Pooh and Piglet. Pooh is wearing a hoppy coat and he is pounding some mochi over in this tree stump. We've got Piglet hanging onto a kite. Kites are another really popular activity that people do for New Year's in Japan, and it just says a Happy New Year across it. So Pooh is hanging on to the hammer, which is called a kine, and he is pounding the mochi. This is actually how they make traditional mochi. If you don't know what mochi is, it is white sticky rice kind of pounded into these little cakes. You can get them as desserts very often throughout the year, and they are delicious. So mochi is a huge part of New Year's. It is known as a, again, holiday food. So mochi is made by pounding it over and over again until it gets sticky and fluffy, and then they form it into the little balls that you see. And they even have a special kind of mochi for New Year's, and it's called Kagami mochi. So here I have a little Kagami mochi of Chip and Dale from 2012, again the year that I first went to Tokyo Disneyland when I was living in Japan. So Kagami mochi is usually made up of two different discs, or I guess mochi cakes, and they kind of symbolize like the coming year, the going year, like yin yang, all of that sort of thing. And it is decorated for New Year's, and it's usually kind of put in like an altar or like an alcove as kind of like a little shrine. So I actually have my own Kagami mochi here. Like I said, it's called Kagami. Kagami means mirror, so the mochi are supposed to look like these really round mirrors that they used to have back in old time Japan. And you'll find that they usually put like an orange or something on top. This one has a little maneki neko, except it is stylized, and it reminded me of Buki, so I just had to pick this up for me. So these are, like I said, they are put out on shrines, and they sit there as decoration for good fortune and health and everything within the new year. And then they are broken into and consumed on the second, like Saturday or Sunday of the year. So we will be opening this up this weekend. Definitely excited. So that is what this pin represents with my little Chip and Dale. Again, I don't typically collect dated pins, but this is the year that I was living in Japan, so I am glad to have this for my collection. Next, we have another stylized version of a Kagami mochi, and it is Ka. So his body kind of makes up the two different cakes here. He's got a little orange on his head, and I love this one. This is from 2013, as you can see, and it is from the Year of the Snake, which I am a snake, which is why I have picked up this one as well. I am a snake, Johnny is a rabbit, and I feel like we are definitely, like, our personalities are very suited to that, and even our, like, relationship dynamic and stuff like that. But I love this pin. All right, I'm gonna pull you guys back for just a second so that you can see. We now have the last section, which I am kind of just calling my Daruma section. So I do have this nice little alien Daruma little card, and I love this so much. You guys have probably seen in some of my past pin board videos that there is an Alien of the Month pin series. We do not have the January pin, which is the alien dressed in his traditional clothing here, his hakama, and I really wish we did so that I could put it with this. Hopefully we will get it soon. If anyone ever sees that pin, definitely let me know, because we are looking for it. But I love this card so much. I love all of the little alien Darumas. So Darumas, if you didn't watch my last video, this is a Daruma. So this is the 2019 alien Daruma. We also got the mini version from our friends living in Japan. So what a Daruma is it is a little doll that you get at the start of the new year. So when you get them, I wish I still had my actual Daruma from Japan. It's actually packed away in one of our boxes for moving with all of our kind of sentimental items. But basically, when you get a Daruma, they actually do not have any eyes. So you are supposed to paint on the first eye at the beginning of the new year. You make a wish or a goal as you are painting it on. So then that Daruma is gonna just sit out all year, kind of reminding you of like your goal, your resolution, what your hopes and dreams are. And then when it finally comes true is when you get to go take your little calligraphy brush, your paint, and you get to paint the second eye. And I just really love this tradition. I think it is so fun. We've usually participated, so I do have a couple of painted Darumas. Like I said, they're packed away. This year we didn't do it because our friends just sent us these Darumas and they already have their eyes because, I mean, I probably wouldn't want them if they didn't. It would just be weird. But I love this so much. So I do have quite a little collection of all different Darumas across the bottom here. So that is what they symbolize. The first one that I have here, it is 2016 and it is Mickey. Again, not always big on the dates, but 2016 is the year that Johnny and I got married. So I was really glad that I was able to pick up a dated one for this year. Then we have Mickey just in normal Daruma form. This is typically what they'll look like, red, white, black. Here we have Tigger as a Daruma. When I first saw this, I thought it was a fantasy pin. It is not. It was just released for Year of the Tiger, and I am so glad that I was able to pick this up. I just think this is so stinking cute. I'm not even like a huge Winnie the Pooh fan, but I just love this. And in the center here, we have one of my favorite Darumas, which is Minnie Mouse. This again was released in 2012, so the year that I was living in Japan, and it's pink and perfect. It's got a little blossom on it, probably a plum blossom because plum blossoms are used to represent New Year. Then over here, we have another Mickey Mouse. Again, looks very similar to the other one, except this one says 2013. This was actually sold as a set with the Ka pin that I showed you a couple of minutes ago. And then over here we have Dinah as a Daruma. This is a fantasy pin created by the Sakura girls, and it is Jen over at Kawaii Wildflower on Instagram. Definitely check her out. I could not resist picking this up. It's Daruma, it's Dinah, it's a Disney cat, it's pastel. I just love it. I really hope she makes maybe some other Disney kitties because this is everything. And then our last pin over here is last year's Daruma. It is Donald. He has a wooden top over here, the Hagoita paddle, and I love this. It is dated. Nothing that significant happened in 2017, but I thought I would pick it up anyways. I don't think I've seen a Daruma set for 2018 or even 2019. Maybe there was, and I'm just like forgetting. I know they had some Year of the Boar pins released this year at the parks, but I didn't really love them. They were like Timon and Pumbaa and just Lion King, which isn't really my thing. So I did pass on those, but yeah. Alright guys, that is everything, and I know that that is going to be a lot. I apologize if this video is super long, but I hope you found it really interesting, maybe learned a little about Japan and Japanese culture. Maybe you're now contemplating going to like Tokyo Disneyland and like checking out the country a little bit, which I just highly recommend. And honestly, if you guys ever have any questions about planning a trip to Japan or Tokyo Disneyland, like anything, definitely get in touch. I would be happy to help. Like I said, I have lived there, I've traveled there many times. My degree is actually in Japanese language and culture, which is why I can seriously just talk about this stuff all day, and I love it so much. Let me know what your favorite pin was on the board. I can't even begin to try to choose one. It would be like choosing a child because there are just so many on this collection that I love, which is why New Year is one of my main collections. I also collect Chinese New Year, so you're gonna see a lot of that next month just because Chinese New Year is on February 5th this year. So yeah, if you're into New Year and things like that, like I am, definitely stick around, subscribe, because you're gonna wanna check out my February board as well. And also, make sure to come back on Sunday for another really fun video. I have my very first Bibbidi Boppity box unboxing, so I cannot wait to share that with you guys. So I will see you Sunday. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys!